Hey there, Michael Leckie, Mark Bowden here again with Career Ask Me Anything. And you can ask us your questions at michaelleckie.com/ask. So the question we had came in, and we've had quite a few of these, quite a few questions about what I'm going to put in the category of odd interview questions. And this one was somebody was asked, what is something your friends say about you that is not true? They had no idea how to answer this. They felt like it was trying to get some sort of strange, backhanded way of looking at a fault or a negative characteristic, but it is kind of an odd question. I can tell you this in a decades-long career in human resources, having interviewed thousands of candidates and been in charge of interview processes and built them. I've never heard anybody ask that question, what's something your friends say about you that's not true? If they asked you that question, Mark, what would you say?
Yeah, look, it's one of those situations where I'm not sure if that's a brilliant question or the most ridiculous question I've ever come across. I'm going around the area that it might be one of the most ridiculous ones that I've come across. I mean, look, as we've said in other answers around questions like this, one of the things you can do is go, what is the concern that drives that question? You can say, it's a really interesting question. Never been asked that before. Not sure I really have a great answer to it, but I am curious. What's the real concern that drives that question? Because certainly I would like to know in this situation, if this is a potential employer for me, what is a concern that would cause them, or what is a desire that they have that would cause them to create a question like that? Because certainly I'm unsure as to why it exists. Now, I've got some other ideas of where we could go with this, but I'd like to hear your ideas on this, Michael. Where would you go with this one?
The only thing I could think of in addition to what you said, Mark, is I might take a guess that what they're trying to get at is, do I see myself the way other people see me? Do I have a misguided perception of myself? And maybe this is a weird way of teasing that out. But let's just say this. In my professional, and I think in your professional opinion, Mark, if you're an interviewer, it's a crap question. Don't ask it. But if you're the interviewing, you're asked it, one of the things that I might say is, well, I'm not sure what my friends would say about me that's not true, because I'm pretty open and pretty straightforward with my friends. I have pretty good relationships. They know who I am. They know what I'm all about. And one of the things I love about my friends group, at least I would say this because it's true, is that we kind of talk about who we are and what we want out of life. And I try to be fairly self-reflective, introspective, and self-aware. And so I do tell them to tell me what it is they're thinking. If they see something in my behavior that they know it's not how I want to behave, I ask them to tell me about that. And in fact, that's the Michael that you're going to get if I come to work with you, is the kind of person that is open to feedback, open to change and growth, and doesn't think he has it all figured out. So I would take the question, I would take what I think is the most positive spin on it, and I would show them that I was someone that is open to feedback, willing to listen, willing to learn, and not confused or misguided about who I am, and maybe someone that would be coachable or developable in the workplace. Mark, do you have any other final thoughts on that one, or should we tell them where to get a hold of us?
Well, look, I've got one last thought on this, which is it's brilliant what you did there, because it was really spin. You really span that round, a genius spin. And people might be thinking, Michael was so good thinking on his feet there. What do I do if I'm not great at thinking on my feet? Well, what Michael did there was he'd already got a brand idea in his head about being, open around things. Look, have a brand idea. Have an idea about who you want to project when you walk into that interview, and have some comments to make around that. So, for example, if I want to go into an interview and go, I want them to think that I'm a strategic thinker, or know that I'm a strategic thinker. I get asked that question. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go, you know what? That's a really interesting, I think, kind of strategic question. I'm not sure quite what the strategy is behind that. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. But it does really bring up this idea of how I love strategy. I like to think strategically. And it reminds me of a story, actually, of one time when I think I was exceptionally strategic. So now I've spun it. I'm now into my storytelling. They may never remember to re-ask me their brilliant question, okay? So look, if you've got brilliant questions for us, michaelleckie.com/ask. Get yourself over there, write your question in, or leave it as a voicemail for us, and we'll do our best to answer that.